Aloha, everyone, and welcome.
And thank you for coming and joining the call. And those of you that are watching the recording, thank you for being part of listening and being open to some information that we found is very powerful for the military community. Now, Susan and I have been involved in the military community for over 24 years. When we were 18, we went off to New York and joined the United States Military Academy at West Point, graduated in 1997, and then spent the following 20 years in the Army. Susan got out of the Army in 2002 when our first child was born. He is now graduating. He graduated high school this year, class of 2020. So when Susan got out of the Army, I transitioned jobs from a quartermaster officer to Army Special Forces. I knew I was going to spend 20 years in the military because I just loved the environment and I loved the teamwork and I just loved the challenges and coming together to overcome those challenges. Very, very powerful to me. And so in 2017, after 20 years, we retired. And I retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Army Special Forces. And today we live here in Hawaii. And we've had a lifetime of service. And after retirement, we decided that we knew that we wanted to continue to serve the military community and the veterans. 4 tours to Afghanistan and many trials and tribulations as a family, as a bigger, greater military community. Very impactful to us. And we just owe so much to the United States Army and to our nation and to the veterans and their families. So what Susan and I did was we started a company called NRF2 Warrior. And the purpose of NRF2 Warrior is to help all of us unleash our true potential and optimize our health through nutrigenomics and NRF2 activation. And Susan's going to talk about that today a little bit before we get on to some of the testimonies and hear some of the stories of some of our teammates. We have 4 very special guests with us today. And there they are right there. 4 very special guests, teammates, and their stories are very powerful. They're all combat veterans, and both past and present. And I'll get more into their stories before they provide their testimony. So I just want to thank the teammates for joining us on this call today, and thank you all for taking the time out of our busy schedules to listen to the information. So I'm kind of waiting for Susan to come back in because this is Susan's part of the presentation.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Hey, all right, here we go. Adapt and overcome. That is one thing we're good at, is adapting. All right, so when your system fails, you have a backup to the backup, which we did. So here we go. Thank you for bearing with us, and let's just dive right in. So I think it's important to have a context for this, and we're going to outline some of the problems, the health conditions, the concerns that I think we're all aware of. And so here's some of them right here. Sleep, chronic pain, skin conditions, anxiety and depression, traumatic brain injury, TBI, gastrointestinal challenges, infertility, PTS. So these are all common veteran health conditions. And it's interesting, I've done quite a bit of work in the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I asked one of the directors of health in our VHA, and I asked him, I said, what's the most common? And I was almost expecting to hear, TBI or traumatic brain injury, because those are really, certainly for our generation, this what they call sometimes the signature wounds of war. And it was interesting what he said to me, actually sleep, chronic pain, and GI issues. And GI issues, and I don't mean government issue, I mean gastrointestinal issues, naturally lead to skin conditions. And he said, skin conditions are something that is really prevalent again, across all generations of veterans. And, especially we see this a lot in our Vietnam veterans who dealt with Agent Orange and just the incredible amount of toxins we're exposed to. So these are all common veteran health concerns. When we talk TBI and PTSD, which we'll hit on a little bit today, they may not be as widespread in our veteran community as you might think, because it gets a lot of attention, which is certainly a good thing, but it is certainly more prevalent in our community versus the civilian community. And I think it's interesting to note the reason why we're seeing more traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress is because our battlefield medicine is incredible. And I know we've got some medics on the call today. The things that our warriors have been through downrange, in previous wars, they wouldn't have survived it. So, our medics, our military medicine is saving lives, but that also means that people are coming back with a lot of problems that turn into long-term issues. So this is a real-life picture of a real-life veteran. It actually comes from a PBS special where this veteran is talking about all the medications that he takes and the medications he takes for, to help with this medication and the contraindications to this and that and all these things. And you see this over and over again. And certainly we know that in many, medications are important to cope for many, many people, but they can also be kind of an endless cycle of how do I get past just treating symptoms and getting to the root cause. And so what we're really talking about here is root cause. And why Jamie and I are so incredibly excited is we have found something that gets at the root cause of all those conditions and many, many more. Oxidative stress is at the root cause of disease and aging. And I'll be honest, I really didn't know what oxidative stress was. And you can go and do some serious research on oxidative stress and what it means. But essentially, it's the imbalance of free radicals in your body and antioxidants. And we may be eating lots of antioxidants to try to fight off these naturally occurring free radicals in our body. But at the end of the day, diet and nutrition are not enough, particularly when it comes to all that warriors have been exposed to. Even if you haven't deployed, you just think about all the exposures that we face in our training and just day to day. So you can think of oxidative stress as like rust on the engine or an apple. So I love the image of an apple here, and we can see oxidative stress happening from that fresh, nice, plump apple that we pick to the not so good, you can barely tell it's an apple because it oxidizes. And that's what happens in our cells. When our cells are attacked by free radicals, you can see the image there, our cells are damaged. So what are some of the causes of oxidative stress? Well, right here, poor nutrition, smoking, medications, war, hello, toxins, all the toxins we're exposed to, jumping out of airplanes. I'm gonna tell you, jumping out of airplanes is not good for your health, in case you weren't too sure about that. Might be kind of exciting, might be necessary and sometimes, but not good for your health. Pesticides, rigorous exercise. I mean, we know rigorous exercise in the military for sure. That's part of how our cells oxidize. MREs, I'm telling you, anything that has a shelf life of a decade or more, probably not so, ideally healthy for you, but again, necessary at times. And, all these other stressors in our life that we face as warriors. So what does oxidative stress do to the body and what parts of the body it affects? Well, you have cells all throughout your body, right? So you can look at this graphic, your brain, your heart, kidney, skin, your organs, joints, immune system, blood vessels, lungs, eyes, brain. The brain is very affected by our oxidative stress. So certainly as warriors and certainly as we're aging, we need to really think about taking care of our brain and how to maintain that cognitive function over time. So don't take my word for it. I literally took a screenshot of this yesterday. There are currently over 200,000 clinical studies about oxidative stress. You can type in your condition, oxidative stress and chronic pain, oxidative stress and heart disease, oxidative stress and depression or anxiety. You can type that in and research it for yourself. I thought it was interesting. This is what came up initially: oxidative stress and prostatitis, chronic pelvic pain. And look at that, down at number 2, oxidative stress, inflammation, and neuroprogression in chronic PTSD. And why is that? We know that chronic pain and PTSD are often a comorbid a comorbid health concern. So what's the solution? You know, we can sit here and talk about the problem all day, but we have a solution. We are solution-oriented community. So the solution is nutrigenomics. Yes, there are a lot of things that you can do to impact your health. Those of you that know Jamie and I, we are really strong proponents of yoga and meditation and healthy eating and positive, you know, healthy lifestyle choices. But I'll tell you, for us, nutrigenomics took it a little deeper, and it has blown us away. Our own personal experiences and how our health has changed since really understanding what this is. So this is not just traditional supplements. This is plant medicine that interacts at the genome. So it is specifically formulated to target cellular pathways. So essentially, scientific study of how nutrients and natural compounds impact ourselves at the cellular level. That is nutrigenomics. And you're going to hear some amazing testimonies today from people who have been taking these cellular activators that target 3 very specific cellular pathways. The NRF2 pathway, which is all about targeting free radicals in the body. Remember that picture I showed you? And eliminating or decreasing oxidative stress. The NRF1 pathway, which is all about maintaining, building healthy mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your cells. And the last one is the sirtuins, activating the sirtuins in your body and raising your NAD levels. And so those of you might be a little bit familiar with at least that, because many of you who might be intermittent fasting, that's what you're doing. You're helping to activate your sirtuins. So what we have is highly effective and really revolutionary. So how did we get here? I think it's important to know where things come from. And so I'll tell you that Protandim was developed. Protandim, the product we're going to talk about, you can see it there in the image. Protandim was developed by a man named Dr. Joe McCord. And he discovered, they had a breakthrough discovery about superoxide dismutase in the body, which is one of your primary antioxidants along with catalase and glutathione. So he started to understand how important SOD was in the body and went to work working to develop a product that could impact on the cellular level in this way. And he developed Protandim from all natural plant medicine that you probably are very familiar with. It is all rooted in Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. So those of you familiar with that ancient medicine, you might be very familiar with the ingredients. So again, it is the science behind them. We're talking about not just supplementing your body by adding this plant medicine to your body, but a very, very specific, combination of these herbs where they activate that cellular pathways in your body. So it's like turning the key. It's like having the right key to open that front door. So why do I mention him? I think it's really important to know like where this comes from. Why is it a big deal? Why are we excited about it? Well, Dr. Joe McCord is in good company with some people who made some pretty extraordinary breakthroughs in history that we now know about. You might not have known their names back then, like you might not know Dr. Joe McCord, but I'm gonna tell you, he's an Elliott Crescent Medal winner. He won that medal in 1997, the year Jamie and I graduated from West Point. He is a fellow awardee along with Orville Wright, Nikola Tesla, Henry Ford. And oh, by the way, the rangefinder, who was a rear admiral in the Navy, Naval Academy graduate from, I believe it was 1891, is also an Elliott Crescent Medal Award winner. There is also, don't leave out the Army, there's a West Point graduate who developed or invented the Lewis gun that you can see there that was used all throughout World War I and II and Korea, Elliott Crescent Award winner. So what does that mean? These are people whose invention or scientific discovery had the power to change a century. So what we were telling you about, what we are sharing with you is really extraordinary. And you might not have heard about it yet. It might sound too good to believe, but again, don't take our word for it. There is no shortage of research on these products and what we're going to share. These are some of the institutions that have researched our products. When Dr. McCord made this huge breakthrough with this product, It was initially on the shelves at vitamin shops and GNCs, and people were saying too good to be true. The media got a hold of it, and as soon as they got a hold of it and tried to debunk what was, the claims that he was making, all of these institutions and universities started picking up on it, and they did their own research. The research is powerful on everything from heart disease, skin cancer, cardiovascular disease, American Heart Association, MS, lots and lots of research. So we'll give you a heads up on how to research this as we move forward, but we want to get to some testimonies. I just want to pull out one statement from one of those studies that comes from Washington State University, where they talk about NRF2 activation may become the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Take that in. This is powerful stuff. And I'm going to pause here so we can hear some testimonies, because I think you can hear all this science and you can hear the background, but really hearing from other people how this has affected them is powerful.
Wow, thanks, Susan. Thanks for sharing all that. And now what we want to do is we want to get our 4 guests to tell a little bit about their stories, about 3 or 5 minutes. And our first guest is now Colonel Retired Greg Ross, Special Forces, member of the 1st Special Forces Group out of Fort Lewis, Washington. And today he's a speaker of Indonesian, Tagalog, and he's an international consultant. He's also a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He spent the last quarter of his career helping me and mentoring me, just like he just did when I was on mute. And he's probably the best 4-star briefer that I've ever seen. So sit back and listen to the story. Colonel Retired Greg Ross. Greg, over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. So if you don't know, Pro Tandem also is provides you with a lot of ability to embellish the truth, as you can see. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, so just a few minutes on Jamie for introducing me to this product several months ago, and how it was really a life changer for me. But what I wanted to talk about, in addition to the stuff that I noticed about, changes and better sleep, my overall physical ability increasing, but recovery, things like that, which were all, exponentially, that I noticed better after, like month, 2 months, things like that. I started noticing it a lot. But what I wanted to talk about was some things that I didn't expect. And why I know the product works was because when I had an idea of what I was thinking I would get out of it and what I actually got out of it were somewhat different. And for me, I think the most notable thing about the product was, I take the Tri-Synergizer and some other stuff, was my skin. I had a condition that I developed in service related. It's actually part of my my disability thing, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was doing all kinds of topical applications, light therapy. I had, you name it. Dermatologists would look at it. And then finally, it wasn't until about a few months before I retired that I had a diagnosis. Like, they actually, did a biopsy and sent it off and came back and said, hey, you got this thing. And there's no cure for it. They basically said, we see this a lot in service members. We see it a lot in people who live in tropical climates or who live or work in austere environments. And it usually develops over time, and there's really no cure, but there's some treatment. So I walked out of the office a little bit, disappointed, with my long list of prescriptions that I had to go downstairs and grab from the pharmacist, and went home. But soon thereafter, when I was taking these products, I just started noticing my skin clearing up. Like, and I did. it wasn't the prescriptions, because the prescriptions had side effects and I stopped taking them. So I was dealing more with, just kind of dealing with the outbreaks and stuff like that. But I want to tell you that one of the things I noticed was that definitely. And in addition to that, of course, my mood got a lot better, and I was able to do more things physically. I was able to do more running and stuff like that, because one of the effects of the skin condition was, doing a lot of sweating or doing a lot of working out and stuff like that sort of provoked it. And not only did it improve, but I was able to actually do more physical activity, as Jamie talked about some of that. So I wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions or you want to talk more about it, I'd be more than happy to.
Greg, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And it's one of those things it wasn't expected. And then when it started to happen, it was like, wow, there's really some ways that this product helps your body do what it needs to do to heal itself. And it's still powerful. Thank you for sharing that specific story for us today, Greg, and appreciate you and your friendship. And just thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, for turning me on to it and everything, because it's been awesome. That the benefits are just, you just can't talk about it in 3 minutes. So I just want to put that one.
Well, thanks for keeping to the time, because you are at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but I'm not counting. All right. So the next guest we have with us today is Mr. David Patterson. Now, Dave grew up in Maine and joined the Army at 17 years old. When he was 18, he went to Vietnam. 2 tours of Vietnam, 1967 and 1968. As a member of a long-range reconnaissance patrol, he saw heavy combat as an 18-year-old. He then, that all has a toll on all of us who've been in combat. And today, Dave is a Bikram yoga instructor. He practices Tai Chi, and he will kick your ass on the golf course. So he recently moved from Tampa to Maine to be with his grandchildren. So with that, I want to hand it over to Dave. Dave, thanks for joining us today. Love you like a brother. Over to you. Okay, let's see. Dave may be muted. Let's see if I can work the control panel.
Do you have me now?
I got you now.
You got me up now?
We got you, Dave.
Okay, good enough. Yeah, I
Can you
can't
turn
say
your camera on?
free to
Can you turn
say
your
what?
Can you
I
turn
don't
your
know how
camera
to
on, Dave?
I noticed that I don't have an image, but I'm technically not too savvy. So let me. I would love to turn the camera on so you could all see how handsome I am, but
He is handsome. You want?
yeah. So
Oh, there you
there,
are. Right. Here we go.
Listen, here's what I want to say. On my second day of Pro Tandem, I actually called Susan up and told her I was looking for a small country to invade. But my energy level is very high anyway. I've been doing Qigong for 15 years. I practice Tai Chi. I work out. I'm always die a paratrooper, so I've always stayed in shape. But this has done something for me that I'm not receiving anything from this. There's no monetary benefit from me other than just to help someone else by sharing the experience that I've had with Pro Tandem. I don't want to be too graphic, but constitutionally, I haven't been regular my whole life. I started taking Pro Tandem, and I go to the bathroom every day now. One of the things that I was amazed by was the physical stuff that started to change. My energy level being even higher. I just had a visitor come over. He's a guy 76 years old, suffering from cancer. He has very little energy. I just sent him home with Dr. McCord's name, all the information I have about Pro Tandem. I told him the story about Susan's father, and he's going to get on the video and he's going to check it all out. But in fact, I was a young man who went into combat. I'm 100% disabled from PTSD, have been for a long time. Been through the whole regimen of the medicine, 300 milligrams of Seroquel a day, drooling, eating candy bars, 168 pounds. I'm 137 pounds today. My body fat at 71. I think a couple of months ago was right around 15 or 16%. I think Protandim has had a lot to do with all of that, with the extra energy and everything. My sense of well-being. I'm a pretty positive guy anyway, but you know, sometimes those days come up and grab everybody. I have so few of those. My sleep pattern, the amount of time that I'm sleeping now just increased by 2 or 3 hours a night. So the people that know me, I know Darcy well, I know Steve, I know Susan and Jamie, and very nice to meet all of you. I loved what Greg had to say. And I feel honored to be in the company of all of you. But I can't say enough about Protan and what it's done for me. I'm trying to get members of my family to get on it, but people resist, you know. I'm always amazed, like I had to go to the doctor a couple of times and they say, you want to list your medications? I don't take any medicine, and none. I just moved to the state of Maine and I have to leave this Zoom meeting when I'm done because the Sergeant Major, otherwise known as my oldest daughter, Ariana, is waiting for me to go to Lowe's to buy some new blinds for a new house. Can you believe it? I just bought a new house at 71 years old in Maine by myself, and you can probably see, you know, how excited I am about that. My 18-year-old granddaughter sitting over here in the chair covered up with a blanket yesterday. So being able to put all that together, I feel like, you know, the universe has just absolutely shined on me. And Protandim being maybe in the last 8 or 9 months, one of the biggest ingredients of all of that. I'm a believer. The first thing I do every day, my Protandim, my tri-synergizer packages by my coffee pot. I take my tri-synergizer. I do an emergency, 1,000 milligram emergency. I have not had a sniffle in months. I have COPD. I am not doing what you're supposed to do at 71 with COPD. I mean, sometimes I walk 8-10 miles a day. The gyms are closed up here right now, so I'm doing a little something in my garage. But I feel absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't pay any attention to the fact that they tell me I'm 71. So just letting this thing rock. And thank God for Dr. McCord and Protandim. And, you know, I had a distributorship. I don't want to sell this stuff because I don't want to do that right now at this point in my life. But I hope that you can tell from my expression and what you see about me that I'm not doing this for any reason other than to pass it on to hope that you, if you take it, experience some of the stuff that I have. I mean, it's absolutely powerful. And you know what I like best about it? I'm an old drug addict, so I don't take any medicine, like I said. And the fact that this is all organic, it came from the earth, you know, is a very powerful thing for me. So anyway, that's about all I got. I love you guys. I'm going to have to sign off. Maybe I'll get a chance to meet some of you people when I come to Hawaii. Hi, Darcy. Hi, Steve. Love you guys. Miss you. So I hope that helps you in all the ways that it was supposed to. And really an honor to be asked to share it. Thank you.
Dave, thank you so much. It's an honor to be able to call you a friend, and make sure you get to Lowe's and get some major supplies so you can get things built, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with us today. Yeah. And we love you.
Okay, I love you too. Bye. Bye, you guys.
Airborne.
Airborne. All right. See ya.
See ya. All right, everyone. Now, this product we don't claim to mitigate or cure any disease. This is an all-natural product, and so we just have to throw that disclaimer out there. but it does reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And that's a clinical studies. And it's a publicly traded company. It's been around for the last 10 years. And you can search it up on the NASDAQ, LFVN, and all the financials are available. And it's the real deal, as you're hearing today from the fellow veterans, combat veterans. So our next guest today is Pony Crystal Matsuyama, and she is in the Hawaii National Guard. She joined the Guard in 2001, and then she also enlisted back into the National Guard in 2004 to get activated to go downrange to Iraq with her teammates. And so her sacrifice is just like many, and it's the family sacrifice. She has a husband, John. He is a police officer and a fellow guardsman for nearly three decades. That's over 30 years of service to our community, service to our nation, and they have 2 children as well. So with that, I just want to introduce Crystal Pony Matsuyama. Thank you, Crystal, for joining us. Aloha.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for joining me, those who I invited earlier. I do go by both names, Crystal and Connie. And like Jamie was saying, I am a military veteran, joined the National Guard when I was 19, 20, when we had that 9/11 disaster in New York. That was devastating. But shortly after that, I came home to Hawaii and ended up switching units to the Air Guard. And then when our state got activated for deployment, I went back to the Army side and went on deployment to Iraq, served a year there in country, and then came back home. I had 2 kids, and then after my daughter, I got out, started raising her, and just been a full-time mom then since, and had 2 more kids. Now, though, being a stay-at-home mom, I let myself go mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and I had gained so much ailments. And part of that was due to my PTSD that I got after deployment. I had acid reflux. I got my gallbladder removed. I had severe migraines. I had arthritis. I couldn't sleep well. I'd be up all night. And that lasted a long time. I ended up in therapy too, and I ended up in a hospital last year. So with all of those ailments, I said, you know what, I need to get myself in control. I need to take control of my health. So I started working out, and then I gained some followers through my workouts. And then Kamaile, one of my cousins who are part of this Pro Tandem or Life Vantage community, shared with me these products, and I started taking them. And I've been taking them for a month now. I can honestly say that it's helped me out so much. I'm not taking a full cabinet of medications anymore. It's amazing. I didn't think that I would, stop taking my medications, but I am no longer on them. I get up and I take my Pro Tandem chest energizers, which is right next to my bed. I'm so much happier. I have so much more energy. I have mind clarity. My mood is better. My experience after working out is, my recovery is way better. It's just an overall awesome experience, and I don't need to go to therapy anymore. And I'm just loving the effects of, the chest energizers that I'm on. And that's basically all I take is the chest energizers and the energy drinks from Life Vantage. And who would have known that these vitamins and this energy drink would be the answer to my prayers, to know that I don't have to take any more medication anymore. That's amazing for me. That's my experience. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully, you guys could connect to my story or my, the fellows that had shared previous to me, and hopefully you guys see the potential here for your health as well. But thank you for listening to me and my story, and back to you, Jamie.
Tony, thank you so much for sharing today, and such a heartfelt message. And I just want to just echo, thank you to everyone for just taking a look, taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to the information. And there's plenty of places that we can send you to go and research all what you want to research about it, but it's changing people's lives. And specifically for today's call, it's changing the lives of veterans and their families. And we're a team that's looking for solutions to the problems that are in our community. And this is one of those solutions that we've been so blessed to find, and it's changing so many people's lives. These are real veterans, real combat veterans telling you their story. Our next guest is a combat athlete, okay? He fights in the UFC, Martin the Spartan Day. He was born and raised in Hawaii and now living in Kailua. Martin is a former URCC world champion, a Taekwondo 4th degree black belt, and he fights in the bantamweight division in the UFC. Martin, we'd love to hear your story and how these products have impacted you and allowed you to unleash your potential as you prepare to enter the octagon. Thanks for joining us.
There we go. Okay. Sorry, I was muted there for a second. Thanks for having me on, Jamie and Susan. Can you guys hear me? Good, yeah? Yeah, so I started, where do I start? I have a lot of good things to say. I could go on and on. Just one correction, I was actually not born in Hawaii. I've lived in Hawaii my whole life, but I was born in Japan. My parents were missionaries all over the place, and they just so happened to be in Japan when I came around. So, but I've lived in Hawaii since I was about 6 months old. Anyway, that being said, yeah, so Jamie first told me about this stuff, that I take the Tri-Synergizer and the powders, the Axio, the energy powder drinks, which are also really good. Anyway, he told me about this stuff, and at first I was like kind of on the fence about it, because in the UFC we actually have the most strict anti-doping or drug policy in all of professional sports, including that of the NFL and other major organizations. But anyway, so it's the same anti-doping agency that does the Olympic athletes. And so for that reason, I was really iffy about it. I studied all the ingredients, which I didn't really have to do because it was all natural. I was just really wanted to make sure. Anyway, after finding out it was all good, and I wouldn't be caught for any kind of banned substances, which can be found in a lot of products even when they're not listed. After finding out it was BSCG certified and safe for my sport, I started to take it, and I just so happened to have been starting a training camp for my last fight, which didn't go through because of the coronavirus. It was canceled about a week and a half before the event. But anyway, during my training camp, it helped me out in so many different ways that I didn't even realize was going to happen. I first kind of started taking it because I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give it a try, see how it is. I've known the Aldens for a while, and so it's like, yeah, cool, I'll take this stuff, see what it's all about. But so one of the first things I experienced was my endurance during training was way better, through the roof. So training can be super, super tough. Sparring, strength and conditioning, 2 to 3 training sessions a day. And during the sparring, which is probably one of the toughest things, you get fresh bodies coming in, top level guys too. Max Holloway was my main training partner for this fight. And when you have a guy like that coming in and doing your rounds, it can be real tough. Anyway, I was able to push much harder than usual during my rounds. And in between rounds, usually your heart rate comes back, or my heart rate would usually come back down to be ready for the next round within about 45 seconds. The rest period is 1 minute. While I was a couple weeks into taking the Tri-Synergizer, I was coming down, my heart rate was coming back down to normal just after 30 seconds. And I know that's only 13 seconds, guys, but that's a huge difference when it comes down to a rest period of 1 minute. So that's like a huge difference where you can listen to directions from your cornerman and not have to worry about getting your breath and whatnot back. So the recovery, not only between rounds, but also after hard training sessions, like say a hard strength and conditioning, where my legs would just be there's times where I was pretty sure my coach was trying to kill me within the rules of strength and conditioning. Anyway, so after say a really hard leg day of maybe I'd be sore and tight for about 5 days, maybe 4 days would be cut down in half to about, so if it was like 3 days of really bad soreness, I'd probably experience about maybe 2 max. And again, that's a big difference when it comes to getting back to work and back into the gym, back to action. So the recovery was the first thing. The next thing was the which one should I talk about next? Oh, so I used to have when you're in a sport like this, you're constantly getting punched in the head, kicked in the head. Well, I don't get kicked in the head often, but you get hit in the head a lot, and you there's problems that come with that. I was experiencing just concussion symptoms all the time. It really sucks to experience that all the time, like sensitivity to light, especially at night, especially with blue light. Just like certain instances of time where you have problems with your depth perception and some other things that come along with concussions like symptoms. When I started taking this stuff, guys, I haven't had that problem since. And this was like a problem that would happen a lot, all the time. I haven't had it literally once since I've been taking it. And so that is another big one right there. So yeah, I was really stoked about that. Another thing is that, which I totally wasn't expecting, and it had to have been from the Tri-Synergizer because I wasn't taking anything else new, and I've been doing this fighting thing for a long time. I walk around, and when I say walk around is like in shape, training. I'm about 163 pounds. So I fight in the bantamweight division, as Jamie mentioned. The bantamweight division is 135 pounds. And I'm lean. I'm a super lean guy already. I'm 5'10", which is taller than the average bantamweight. Anyways, I'm lean, and it's hard to get down that weight. It takes a lot of mental strength and dieting. The dieting has to be very precise. You can't screw up. And so this taking the Tri-Synergizer for whatever reason made my life of dieting the easiest it's ever been in my whole career. Like I was just so, my weight came down so fast, and I was actually to the point where I was having cheat meals. And when I say cheat meals, I'm not talking about like McDonald's and stuff. I'm talking about just higher calories, clean carbs. Carbs are really rare when you're in camp, a lot of them. So anyway, I was super happy to be able to eat more meals, because when you can take in more calories, it also helps with your recovery. And I think that's what added to my recovery too. I was allowed to eat more calories, and I was allowed to take in more. So just my energy overall was better as well. My energy might have been also better from the taking more calories, but I noticed a higher energy level just in general throughout the day, like with less 2 o'clock grogginess feeling and things like that. You can stop me, Jamie, if I'm talking too long. I know you guys have been on this call for a long time already, but yeah. So the weight thing was huge. And there's not going to be another time in my life, especially when I'm in a training camp, where I'm not taking the supplement, because of the huge differences that we saw just with my recovery times, my energy levels, my recovery between rounds, all that stuff. And I got my dog taking the dog version. And I got some things I can say about that too, if you want me to, Jamie. You guys have dogs.
Well, not now, Martin. We have another call
Yeah.
every once a month called Pet Talk. So thanks for that
Okay.
softball you threw out there. That was that was great. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Martin. And I just want to say thank you for how you impact the youth and our community here in Kailua. Your mentorship, your leadership, how you teach, and as a lead instructor at the martial arts company in Kailua here, we really adore you. We really want to see you succeed, and we're honored to have you as an NRF2 Warrior Ambassador. So thank you so much for what you do for our community and what you're doing really for for these veterans on this call, you're being willing to share your story with us is very powerful. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks, Jamie.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. The last guest, excuse me, the last guest here is a dear, dear friend, a mentor and a teammate. He spent 27 years in the United States Marine Corps. He had multiple combat tours, deployed to Panama, the Balkans, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan. Steve went Horn of Africa. He also had 7 sea service deployments. So if you've ever been on a boat, you know how terrible those deployments can be. He continues to serve in the warrior community in many capacities. He supports veteran nonprofit organizations such as the Navy SEAL Foundation, just to name one major one. He's married to Darcy, who's also an Army veteran, and they live in Tampa, Florida. And they're dear friends of ours. And Steve, over to you. Please free to share your story to us.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Susan. And for everyone on this call, I am very, very pleased to support Jamie and Susan in this endeavor. Jamie and Susan are absolutely game changers in the veterans community for everything they've done. And this is my second deal that they've sucked me into. Okay. And I go willingly simply because Jamie and Susan have parted the ways for me. And we have come to the consensus that the current way of dealing with the veteran community is completely off message. And what is offered to the veteran community is not working. So this is the second effort that I've been working with Jamie and Susan on. And what I like to do is, that is our belief in the system of where it stands right now. But what I'd like to talk to you about is my personal experience with it. And I just want to talk to you about 3 aspects of Pro Tandem that I'm very grateful that Jamie and Susan brought it to me for. And it's performance, it's recovery, and it's sleep. Because those are the 3 biggest things that have changed in my life. I am a very active athlete at 57. I engage in a lot of events, open ocean swimming, a lot of mountain biking, a lot of events, CrossFit types of events. And I have to tell you that empirical evidence tells me that I'm getting about a 20% gain from Pro Tandem. It's the only thing I changed in my routine. And after taking it, I was able to cut a 30 minutes off my time for a mountain bike, trail run mountain bike race in December. I was able to cut about 3 to 4 minutes off my open ocean swim time for the Swim Across Tampa Bay for Navy Special Warfare Foundation. And I also won the Dan Knassen Award that year. And also I just ran the Murph right before Memorial Day at 47 minutes, 30 seconds with a 28-pound vest. And that's about 3 to 4 minutes faster than the previous year. So performance, absolutely a game changer. And what I'd like to offer up to the veterans community is you don't have to be a athlete that is trying to do great things. Performance, you should have the greatest performance every single day. So Jamie and Susan are absolutely brilliant at naming things. And I love the idea of activating the warrior and helping the community to activate itself. So I would ask you to think about it from going back to when you served on active duty and you were at your best. You have the ability to do that in a different way now, and this is going to assist you to get to that point. The second thing is recovery. I agree with Martin 100%. I do not believe the gains I'm getting on recovery, how quick I can actually bounce back from very difficult workouts and want to go right back into the training cycle again. It actually has to be a deliberate effort on my part to stop myself from working out. It's not that I don't feel like doing it, it's just I just have to do that. So if you are going pre-surgery, post-surgery, you're rehabbing, this is definitely going to help you in any of those endeavors as you go through. The last one is sleep. I have not slept so well since I was a kid. I have not slept this well on active duty based upon it and the number of children that we've had, there's not much sleep. But as of right now, the amount of sleep that I get is off the charts. It is a solid 8 to sometimes 9 hours of sleep, uninterrupted throughout the night. And I think that is also a game changer right there. So for all the veterans on the call, thank you very much for your service. please look into this. I think you have enough testimonies that it should pique your interest in regards to doing more research on what it is. Please reach out to me and Darcy if you have any questions about our experience and what it's done for us. We'd be more than happy to link up with you and point you to resources or give you whatever it is that we can possibly do. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Darcy. Thank you, Steve, for that message. It's so succinct, just in Marine Corps style. 4 things. We walked through it very professionally, very accurately. And I just appreciate you joining us on this second venture. And thank you for those kind words. Thank you very much, your dear friend. So, Susan, I'm going to pass it over to you to close us out.
All right. So thank you everyone for your testimonies and for taking a moment to just listen to a little bit about what these products are. There really is some extraordinary science behind them. And so I just want to encourage you to do your own research. And this is one way to do that. So whoever invited you to this call, please get back with them and they can share this website with you that has 2 things. Well, it has many things, but 2 things I want to highlight is the story behind Protandim. It'll tell you a little bit more about Dr. McCord and about our flagship product, Protandim NRF2. And then you can also, when you go to that page, you're going to click that Learn More of the 3 Theories of Aging. I really encourage you to go check that out because, you know, I've been in the health and wellness industry for almost 20 years now. And this was new information for me. So check out the 3 Theories of Aging, learn about these 3 cellular pathways that we are activating through these products. And also through that website, you can check out the patents. It will have links to key studies. And you can do your research right on pubmed.gov, which is the National Institute of Health's website. It's the national repository for all clinical research. And one of the things that's really extraordinary about this product is it is by name in PubMed. Type in Protandim and you're going to pull up 26 peer-reviewed studies. And for those of you who have looked into natural products or been in the health and wellness industry, you know that is is unheard of. So we talked about Tri-Synergizer. There are other products. I know Tony mentioned the Axio, which is the energy drink. It's also really helpful for the brain. We have probiotics. We do have a skincare line. So it's NRF2 activation from the outside and the inside. And I know Martin mentioned the for pets. So yes, this is a team effort. And this is really more than, you know, us sharing a product and trying to sell you something. This is really a movement. And those of you who've known Jamie and I for a long time, that is really what compels us about this. It is a game changer. It is a movement. So, you know, no pressure here. Just know that we're offering you the opportunity to become a customer, to try this and experience this for yourself. We would love for your referrals. If it's not for you, but you know somebody that might could benefit from these products, please share the information. And if you're interested in joining this team, we'd love to have you. Again, get back to the person who invited you. You can also do your research on LifeVantage. It's a publicly traded company. It's one of only about 17 direct sales company out of the 4,000 companies in the world. There's only 17 that are publicly traded. It's a very, very unique product and a very unique company. And I want to leave you with this thought. So we're not only talking about your health span and increasing how you live day to day, but your lifespan. And I love Dave sharing. I wanted to leave you with these 2 photos of some of my favorite elder veterans. Richard Overton, so you might know him. He lived to 112. And then next to him is Eugenia Woodward, who I had the opportunity to present with at a women's veterans conference here on Oahu. She's a warrior yogi. And we were talking story about the power of yoga and the power of living well. And why is this important to me and to Jamie, and I know to so many of you? It's that we really feel like our veterans, our warrior community, we have the capacity to be not only leaders, but peacemakers. And I love this quote. It really drives all that I do, from Thich Nhat Hanh, who is grew up during the Vietnam War. He's a Vietnamese monk who's done a lot of work with veterans. And he says, Veterans are the light at the tip of the candle, illuminating the way for the whole nation. If veterans can achieve awareness, transformation, understanding, and peace, they can teach us how to make peace with ourselves and each other, so we never have to use violence to resolve conflicts again. So who better to promote a healthier way to live, a more peaceful way to live than this community right here. So we hope that you will take care of yourselves, whatever that looks like for you. Feel free to reach out to us at any time, or the person that invited you. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so we can say, if anybody wants to unmute and say hello before we sign off. I see many faces of people I know and love, many other veterans from all branches of service, and some military spouses. A big shout out to you, because we know that it is not just the person who wears the uniform that serves. I have been on both sides of the fence. I know Pony can second that. It's no joke being a military spouse either. So thank you all. We love you, and we are grateful for your service.
Hey, Susan.
Thank you, everyone.
Buddy.
Aloha.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, Cindy.
See who else is out here. Oh,
Awesome. Mahalo.
hi, Kamari.
Aloha.
Well done.
Friend.
Well done.
My red shoe friend.
Hey, Rob. Thanks.
Hey, Jamie. Last time I saw you was on a helicopter in Afghanistan.
That's right. That's right. We both made it out.
Yeah, we did.
Hey, Rob. It's good to see you, brother. Long time no see.
You too, love.
Hey,
I'll see
Candy.
you guys.
Hey,
Good night.
Take care. Yeah, Rob.
Hey, so good to see you.
good
Been
to see
too
you,
long.
Susan. I can't wait to get back.
That's right. Call me. When's it happening?
In one more year, so we're almost there.
All right.
We better go on a retreat, girl, and I'm getting on this stuff. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Miss you, miss you, miss you. I miss you people in Hawaii too that I haven't even seen. Aloha, aloha.
Oh my gosh. So you bet.
Over on the west side, too long, girl.
I know, man.
Hi, sister.
Then I have to do a drive-by just to say hey.
I know. We do. We do.
It was pretty amazing to invite to this call and to realize how I mean, you couldn't exclude anybody from inviting, because everybody is somehow intertwined with, in some deep way or not, with, serving in the military. And I just found that really profound when I was like going through my contacts. I was like, wow, so I am near and dear to you. Thank you so much for all of your service. So mahalo.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Kamali.
I just announced, but for those of you that are still on, Kamali does a beautiful science call on Thursday. So if you do want to dive into the science, she does a great job of laying it out. So thank you. Got a little, well, see, he's still in his office and I'm still in the kitchen. After all that construction, darn it. We're going to get.
That was your decision. It's your choice. You don't like my office.
It's a whole other journey we're on, this whole this whole business. But anyway, all right. We can tell the story all day long because I love this tribe. But anyway, I'm gonna end us, and hui ho, everybody.
Hui ho.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. That
Love
was
you guys.
awesome. Bye.
Bye. I'm coming to see you guys to pick up some Axio.